18th, 2021 at 7 p.m. to ensure the project meets the requirements of the Fair and Inclusive Redistricting for Municipalities and Political Subdivisions Fair Maps Act, and consider the appointments of members of the Solano County 2021 Redistricting Advisory Committee for a term to expire upon completions of the project.
Thank you. With that, this is a public hearing, is it not?
No, sir, it is not.
Okay, but it is a public hearing. It's just not one we have to call out. Michelle, you're going to handle this presentation?
Yes, good morning, Chair Vasquez, members of the board. Michelle Heffner with the County Administrator's Office. This is a follow-up from your April 27th, where you asked staff to return with some information on the
everybody?
Advisory Committee's proposed work plan and to appoint members to your committee. In addition, we noticed a gap in your board schedule and that you affirmed at that meeting, and we will be asking you to add a special evening hearing to your regular board calendar. So next slide, please. So your Redistricting Advisory Committee, we have put together a work plan starting with Attachment A, and it's also mirrored in a calendar format in Attachment C. It's a proposed work plan or schedule for the Redistricting Advisory Committee. As you can see, it's color-coded to reflect meetings for the Redistricting Advisory Committee members in yellow, where they will meet as a committee and receive training, discuss the plan, and plan community outreach to determine the communities of interest in the county that will ultimately be taken into consideration when we start drawing the maps for your consideration later this year. It's proposed that the Redistricting Advisory Committee will meet twice monthly on the first and third Thursdays evenings of each month, but these can be changed by the committee members themselves. We will schedule them for 2 hours and anticipate the initial 2 meetings where the Redistricting Committee will be receiving training that they would probably last that long, but most of the subsequent meetings may not last quite as long. It's also plausible to assume that the last 2 meetings that they have, or the last few meetings that they have when they compiling your report, that the meetings may run a little longer. I also wanted to note that the Redistricting Advisory Committee meetings will actually be public meetings, and that they will be conducted in accordance with the Brown Act. So in late April, you directed staff to also conduct at least 2 community outreach meetings per district for a total of 10 meetings. We set the schedule for 1 outreach meeting per week over a 10-week period, beginning with the evening meetings in the week, which are Wednesdays, and then Saturday meetings for each district. The items in pink are the proposed community outreach meetings that the Redistricting Advisory will conduct with the support of county staff and the technical team and our consultants. The idea is to finish the evening meetings sequentially by district first, and then move on to the Saturday outreach meetings, which will also be sequentially by district. This schedule is somewhat fluid, and staff is happy to consider it in another format if it so pleases the board. So once all the outreach meetings have been conducted, the Redistricting Advisory Committee will formulate a report, which we anticipate will be presented to the board on September 28th. It's also around this time that we anticipate the final U.S. Census data to be released, and that the state will start carving out the prison population from that data. Next slide, please. So in addition, we have also mapped out the required board meetings on Attachment C, and those can be noted in red, which will back us into the December 15th deadline with an extra hearing to spare in the event that we need one. So with that being said, we realize the board does not have a meeting set for November 16th, and since there is a requirement to have at least 1 hearing in the evening or weekend, we are requesting the board to approve an evening meeting for November 16th at 7 p.m. that will be dedicated to the redistricting project. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are your recommendations. We are asking you to affirm this redistricting committee's proposed work plan, setting the hearing I just mentioned for November 16th at 7 p.m. and also approving your redistricting committee members that are contained in attachment B of the staff report. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Any questions from board members? Aaron?
Chair. Who are your members, Chair?
Mine?
Yeah,
I have two that confirmed and one I'm waiting to hear back from.
okay. I'm going to go ahead and move the item. All the recommendations.
Okay. Any public comment on this?
Good morning, members of the
Alicia, do we
public.
have-
If you would wish to speak on this item, please press *6 to unmute yourself and state your name. Sir, I do not have anyone unmuting themselves.
So we have a motion. Is there a second?
Hey, John?
Go ahead,
Chair
Jim.
Vasquez?
Yes.
Chair, this is Michelle. I was wondering if you have your two names, did you want to read them into the record today so that they can be included in the
I was going to ask the question, can I submit them and then they have to be confirmed at a later date, or?
I believe, but I'll defer to Bernadette for that.
Yes, yeah, I mean, you can go ahead and add them now. We can also bring them back on the 25th.
Well, I can give you the two that have confirmed. Steve Greenberg and Lois Cross.
And I would recommend that you include that as part of the motion.
Okay. Aaron, is that okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Jim?
Yeah, hey, John, I just want to let the board know that I have a trip that is scheduled to England that week, so that November 16th would be a date that I would probably not be attending. I probably could do it through some virtual meeting, but I just want to put that on the record today.
Should we then confirm that date or come back with a different date?
It's up to staff. If staff is flexible on that, or some of you may not want me there.
Well, we could certainly be flexible if there's an option for Supervisor Spearing to dial into the meeting, if that's an option. I'm just worried about the making our deadline for December 15th, because as of now, we haven't seen any legislation that has changed any of those proposed deadlines at this point.
I just wanted that on the record. I don't want anybody, I don't want to disclose that.
And what day is
John,
it? Yes.
could we just change it to Tuesday, November 9th?
I can work all day. So we can just take a break for in the afternoon. in
Well,
anticipation of this.
the 9th, we don't have a board meeting. That's why I was mentioning it.
We don't?
No,
There is a board meeting on the 9th.
I don't. Okay, I'm looking at the calendar.
Yeah, we
Okay,
do.
I apologize. I didn't think there was one on the 9th. Okay. So,
I'm okay adding it to the evening. We can adjust the agenda for that.
Chair, I won't be able to make the evening meeting on that date. I have another conflict. So
How about Wednesday, the 10th?
it's a county holiday.
So
No,
also, Chair Vasquez, we do need to be cognizant of the time frame. So if you look on the attachment C, you'll see the blue shadings that we put in there. Those shadings indicate the requirements for us to have your maps public for 7 days prior to you taking action on them.
John, I'd recommend keeping the date November 16th, and, you know, I'll start working on how I can participate virtually.
Well, thank you, Jim, for that. All right. So the motion is still stands with the introduction of the two individuals I've indicated. And was there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Jim. With that, roll call?
Supervisor Hannigan,
Yes.
Supervisor Brown,
yes,
Supervisor Spearing,
Yes.
Supervisor Mashburn,
Yes.
and Chair Vasquez.
Yes.
So ordered by a 5-0 vote.
So before we take the next item on, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. We'll be back at 10:40. little more than 10 minutes, but